Good afternoon. Good afternoon. This is Judith with the Silverlining. So today I have a slightly different show for you, and I would like to ensure that I bring to you the real and authentic Judith. So this has been long overdue, and we just want to make sure that we're giving you exactly what we are. So today is a very interesting day because it's all about me, but really not about me. It's for everyone who's going through the same struggles as I do, for everyone who's probably had the same questions as I do. As you all know, every once in a while, people reset their values. People have to check and see whether they're on track with their group, with their goals in life. My name is Judith Fang, and the birth of the show was as a result of me using the COVID to ensure that everyone in here is using the time we have to do the best that they can do in their lives. So let's start with what brought me up to the show today. I had to do an analysis. I didn't do the show last week, but I had to take some time out of my own schedule to understand why I was doing this show. What exactly led me up to this point? And I realized I was not assessing where I was in my life, and hence needing me to get out of my comfort zone, doing the norms, and then also having to address some of the things that we don't usually take care of. Number one, my dream has always been to ensure that we connect global influencers, we connect people with each other to ensure that they're getting everything that they want out of life. One of the other things that I also realized is we grew up in environments in some form of a way, sheltered environments where we were not always told the things that were critical in our lives, raised properly, given all the right tools. However, critical thinking and analysis is not something that we are taught as children or as adults. So we make all these goals for ourselves, we dream, and we do what we need to do, but we don't take the time to stop, assess, and see where we are in life. So today's show, I'm going to focus on getting out of our comfort zones, doing the right task within our lives to ensure that we're living up to our lives' dreams and our lives' goals. And I'll do it in some sort of a business-like format because if you look at it, your life is a business. So if you don't run your life as a business that is dear to you, or you don't run your life as something that you treasure, you are going to make some mistakes and repeat some mistakes that we all do in our lives. So I'll start with the first one. What has been my dream? My dream has always been to be someone who lives her best life. What did that life represent to me? I'm not sure I could tell you at the time, but over time I have learned that I am someone who values people who are successful, and I value their journeys. I also value what these successful people bring back to the community. I absolutely am in deep connection with my continent being Africa. And what that causes me to do is look at all the different areas of our African lives as where we can relate with each other, where we can improve, and what we can do to make sure that the next generation of folks that may or may not find themselves in the same situations as we are do things better for themselves. One of the first things I had to address was, am I ready to even do such a thing? Am I prepared? Have I taken the time and the effort to do what I require of myself to get to where I need to get to? So that would be the first thing. And to do that, you literally have to put aside your ego. You literally have to put aside all the negative thoughts that you have, thinking that you've arrived at where you need to be. Assess your life and do some sort of a pestle analysis, checking any of the aspects around your life to see what it is that has influenced you to date and how you got to where you are. So in my case, I have had all the best education my parents and my society could afford, all the degrees that we think we need in order to thrive. But have those been sufficient for me to be where I am? I would say yes in so many ways and no in other ways. No, because those aspects only provided me the intellectual, the academic ways in which I could become the person that I am. However, when you look back at myself, at my life, I think, have I made the spiritual have I made the spiritual journey in the ways that I hoped I would make? Or have I developed my relationships with my friends, with my family, my daughter, my kids, my son, and my extended family? Have I done all what I needed to do? And I would say, in so many ways, yes. I have done it in the ways that society has dictated that I do it. Have I done it in the ways that I envisioned? In many ways, no, because we live our lives based on the guidelines that society, family, school, education, government, politics, whatever it is that we have going on today dictate. So you need to take some time out to actually assess since you became an adult, because we do understand as children, sometimes we don't get to think freely on our own. But since I became an adult, have I walked the path that I said I would walk? I can tell you some ways in which I think I have done those things and other ways in which I think I failed. I did try out as many professions as I think as I thought I should back in the day. I succeeded at some and did not succeed at many. So again, that's life. You fail in some things and you succeed in other things. The other aspect that I would say to most people is, as you grow in your career and as you grow in your spiritual life or in your personal relationships, in your marriage, in anything that you want to do, are you living up true to yourself? One of the ways in which I had a very, very hard reality happen to me was I had a very close friend of mine with whom I still think she's one of the most intelligent people in life. We planned a lot of things when we talked to each other. But I did realize when we were sitting together, as much as I thought she was very intelligent, and as much as I would like to think of myself as an intelligent person myself, I also did realize we were not being productive. Sometimes, are we using the relationships in which we are in a productive manner? We would sit around and talk about all other things except for the goals and plans that we had for ourselves. So, you have to stop every once in a while and ask yourselves, the connections that you're making in life, the friends that you're making in life, are you actually living out your dreams with those people? Or are you just using them to pass time? Or as we say, just wasting time. So it took me a little while to realize, as much as I thought my friend was smart and as much as I would like to think of myself as a smart person, that friendship was not being productive. And so I had to sever ties to some extent, just alienate myself and realize, take my own responsibility for the negative conversations that we were having. And from that day onwards, when you accept the truth about yourself, you're able to move forward and really start taking steps towards the real things you need to be doing in your life. The next thing that I said, are you living up to the dreams that you set up for yourself? Such things are, what are the dreams that you've had for yourself? When you wake up every day in the morning, what goal do you have in mind? What do you hope to accomplish? Are you writing down those tasks when you think about them? Are you taking steps towards accomplishing at least one of those every day? What is your mindset when you wake up in the morning? Do you hope to finish one task? Do you put realistic things down for yourself as goals? If you don't make those tasks and you don't take the necessary steps to move out of that comfortable place in which you are, then you're not ready to do what you need to do to live out your best life. Again, when I started the Silver Lining, I thought I would just come out here and connect the people that I needed to connect every day and bring out the good information to you, the tools and the resources. But I also realized I was not taking the necessary steps for myself. I had not assessed where I was as far as making those connections work. It's one thing to bring the people or have those connections. It's another one to actually sit down and frame out the platform and make it work the way you want it to work. We've seen quite a few successes just with the few shows that we've done. However, there's so much room for improvement because of the lack of the areas that I have not yet mastered. So it's extremely important that you keep aside your ego, you keep aside your whatever skill or whatever knowledge you think you have, and then settle down, assess where you are, revamp it, make some changes, the necessary changes that you need to make, and then you can come back and launch. Again, that's part of life, that's part of failing, and that's part of succeeding. So that's one area. That to me was an eye opener because I had to get out of my comfort zone and accept that no matter how much I think I know of the business I'm trying to launch, I still have a lot of work to do. So I would advise everyone to make sure you're writing down the necessary tasks, make them realistic goals so you can accomplish at least one or two every day. When you finish one task, as one of the military people said to some graduates, if you wake up in the morning and you make up your bed every day, you would have accomplished one task. Make sure your goals are all written down and you write them in formats that are realistic to you, and you can accomplish one task a day. Another thing that I'd like to point out, again, just all about getting out of your comfort zone, is making sure that you're not participating in things in your life that are self-sabotaging. Many of us have goals. Many of us do good things every day, but there's some little tasks that you do, little things you do on a daily basis that push you into self-sabotage mode. So you want to make sure you're constantly reassessing where you are with yourself. Some of those would be, are you procrastinating? You may be very good at what you're doing, but if you procrastinate and you put it to last minute, what ends up happening is you're rushing last minute and you make some avoidable mistakes in your life. That has been the case with me in Silverlining when I launched it. And so these are the things that I tell you would sabotage you. You're self-sabotaging because you think you got it, but you've not made the right preparation for it. The next thing I'd like to let you know about self-sabotaging is when you think you also have to be perfect. As much as you say you have to prepare, you can't want something to be absolutely perfect before you do it. You've got to do the 80-20 rule. If you have much of the basics covered, do you have enough to get your work started? Do you have enough to get your goal going? And do you leave room for you to improve on? So perfectionism is a good thing, but it's also one of the things that would work against you and self-sabotage you for whatever success you are trying to accomplish. Another thing is when you have your goals set and you start your inward negativity talks. Oh, I don't think I'm good enough for this. Oh, I'm not so great. On a constant basis, I am self-doubting. I am critical. Don't criticize yourself to the point where you lose the essence of why you're doing what you do. So I would encourage everyone, do not be your own self. Do not sabotage your own self. That would be the best way for you to get out of your comfort zone. The reason we self-sabotage sometimes is because we are happy with where we are. We think we are liked. We think we are loved. We think we found that comfortable place in our lives where things seem to be working. And when you get to that comfortable place, the tendency is to get complacent. The tendency is to think that you have everything working for you at that point, and so you don't do anything to improve the situation. You say, well, I think I fed the kids. They're okay. They've gone off to bed. I think I have done everything. I've had a chat. I've checked up on this. I've done all my checklists. Everything seems okay. There's always something somewhere that you can do better. There's always something somewhere that you can improve on. You go back, do a quick analysis of where you've been, how you got here, see what you could have done better, and then we'll see if you can improve on the better things and see if you can avoid some of the things you didn't do so well. And then another thing, again, this is all about our comfort zone. All of these things would contribute to you and your comfort zone. And I say this because you get at any given point in time, you would get to a point where you need to do some self-evaluation. Also, take some time, despite all your successes, despite all your doubts for yourself, take some time to just pause, reflect, meditate, pray, think about what else you could be doing for yourself that would calm you down. When you keep going, it is so easy to miss out on some things that are critical. We each have to take some time out in our lives just to pause, take it all in, reassess, and get back at it. If we don't do that, you're bound to crash. Crash not because you did something wrong, but the human being needs that time to settle down, just to think it through, just to assess, to meditate, to show gratitude, and to do what you need to do. That all of those are things that are part of you stepping out of your usual self and embracing the new you. They would each help you to become that person that you want to become. Today is my uncomfortable day. Today is the day I'm doing something, talking about myself and some of the struggles that I go through as a woman, as a mother, as a worker, as a business person, as just someone who's struggling through life in her own ways, who's seen some successes, who's failed tremendously at many things, and who is still hopeful that she would succeed in many ways. Again, these struggles would come to you in different formats. They may not necessarily come to you as a job loss. It may come to you as losing someone. It may come to you as transition between jobs, or it may come to you as failed businesses. So again, each and every one of us goes through some difficult moment in our lives. And the only way you can overcome that is by getting out of your comfortable zone, getting out of that place where you feel you're safe. Come out of that safety for a little bit. Dare to go out there and do things that you are afraid of. Dare to conquer that fear within you. Dare to eliminate some of these words, and I'll say them to you. The things that would cause you negative energy within yourself are things such as stop thinking about people who've been dishonest to you, or even if you've been dishonest. Stop thinking about complaining. Don't go around or hang around people who complain a lot. Try not to dwell on sadness, because sometimes, as you know, many of us, they say misery loves company. You want to make sure you're not making that who you are. Try to be selfless. Selfishness. You should make sure that you're being selfless, doing more of the positive things, because as you do those things, you become somebody else. Lazy. Lazy, the way I view lazy is, for you to be lazy, you have to think of the best way to do something. That way you can be lazy enjoying it. So get rid of all the procrastination, the regrets, the stress, the worries, the superficial things, the greed, the ignorance, the competition, unhealthy competition, the indecisiveness that you sometimes go through. That none of us are perfect. So we are going to come across this negative energy in ourselves every once in a while. So just do what you don't normally do. Someone like me, when I get a little frustrated, I have a tendency to shut everybody else out, shut everything down, and go. Try not to do, it's okay to feel frustrated and irritated, but when that happens, try not to dwell in that moment. Let it sit in for 2 seconds. Ask yourself how you got there. Find a way to make the responsibility yours to get out of that situation. I find that with my business, because I'm in the health and wellness business, as well as in the travel industry business, where again, my focus is on Africa travel and tourism. So I find that when I'm talking about Africa and the different ideas I have for trips that I'm planning for different groups, different ethnicities, different circles based on what they want to go do in Africa, I literally overcome every doubt that self-doubt that I have. I literally work through anything that I'd complain about. So find those things, find a song, something that gives you light, something that takes you to a good place so you can avoid all that negative energy that makes you comfortable with who you've been. So the positive energy and the words you need to start giving to yourself are: try going to give out to another group that you're not used to. Try volunteering in a whole new place altogether. Think back about someone you haven't forgiven and just, if you don't see them or you don't talk to them or you don't have the ability to reach out to them, forgive them in your heart and pray about it. And you will see how well that's going to move you out of that person that you've become. And you start seeing all the beauty that life has to offer. You get inspired by just doing things slightly differently. The negative news, the news could sometimes be very depressing. Sometimes just listening to all the bad stuff that's around you is enough to let you go and look for all those things that make you want to eat. I'm an eater when I stress out. So I have to constantly find things that would make me avoid the refrigerator. I often say that, I think I saw this quote on Instagram one day that someone put that said, "Oh, this is the third time I went to my refrigerator. I heard a voice come out of the refrigerator that said, 'Weren't you just here like 5 minutes ago? Close this door and go find a book or something.'" Again, just find things that would make you laugh at yourself and be funny so that you can do something differently than what you're used to doing. Again, you have to do something differently than what you've been doing in order to step out of the person that you've been. And then the other thing I'd like to say, because this is meant to be short, this is not meant to be some long rant about getting out of your comfort zone. It's just meant to give you some tweaks on how you can identify what's going on with you, where you are. And again, this is from my own lessons that I have learned, many of which have been recent, but many of them things that I know many of my other friends are going through, I've been talked to about, and I just thought today was a good day for me to share some of those tips. Again, if you've gotten complacent, let's say professionally, if you've gotten complacent on your job because you know it means something is wrong, improve yourself, step out, try to see if you can pick up another skill, learn something new. Learn something totally unrelated to what you're doing. You might be interested to go try another profession. Doesn't mean you should just quit what you're doing altogether and go do something else. We are we're creatures of habit. So when you've done things for years in the same way, you literally become that person. And many times we will settle into our daily routines and we don't really think about them. So if you've become someone who doesn't think about what you're doing on a daily basis, it's time to shift up things. So it would start with you waking up in the morning, shifting something in your daily schedule. If those things you're doing are not improving you or making you better than the person you were, then you need to shift it up a little bit. And then if you've been taking your coffee from the same place every day, maybe it's time to walk over to another place and start getting your coffee from someone else. Have some small chit chat with another person. Obviously, it's not possible with COVID nowadays. But you know what? Reach out to somebody else on another team. On your IM, on your instant messaging at work, or on your Instagram, whatever your tool is, reach out to somebody and just find out what's up with them. What are they doing? These are all aspects that would get you out of your normal self. And then the other thing you want to do is you want to make sure that you're not neglecting, even though you've been doing some things over and over and they're good, nothing is wrong. They say if it ain't broke, don't fix it. That's our favorite statement sometimes. Sometimes, even if it ain't broke, shift it up, shake it up, do whatever you need to do in that space. It would inspire you. It would make you become a better person. It might help somebody else who's been looking up to you and they just want to know life is not so boring when it gets to that point. So you are more influential than you think. Little did I realize that in me wanting to connect the world with each other, it brought out some other skills in me that I didn't realize I had. And so I had to go back and hone some of those skills. Failed at some of them, still struggling with some of them. Again, one of the areas in which I'm struggling, it's just literally me sitting in front of you and doing this. Every day I do this, I come on live. It's a struggle for me. I have to make sure that I'm the better person or the better version of me than I was yesterday or the last show. So I am really, really grateful for today. It was long overdue. And again, I am Judith, and I do host the Silver Lining with Judith every Sunday at 1 p.m. And the person you're seeing in front of you is someone who's still struggling to get out of her comfort zone and do things that would make her a better person than she was yesterday. So, small tips before I get off today. Make sure you are making small and meaningful changes in your life. Make sure once you've identified the small changes that you want to make, you pick one and you follow it through and do it. Set some realistic timelines for yourself. You can say maybe today or by the end of the week, I want to be able to prepare a good meal, or I want to be able to serve something that I have never served before. Or personally for me, I want to be able to start running as opposed to walking. I do walks every morning, but I'm not a good runner. I want to start running. And for me, that's a very difficult thing to do. So I want to start stepping out of my walking zone because walking is more comfortable for me. I want to start seeing how much more I can push myself to run. So make some realistic changes, small, one at a time. But again, as creatures of habit, when you pick on a new habit, it would become it will get on autopilot. You have to make sure you don't become complacent and comfortable. Switch things often. If you realize you're sabotaging your own success, make sure you're not and constantly missing deadlines in some cases, because that's what procrastination would do for you. That's what assuming you have time would do for you. You want to also make sure you take that step back and just reassess where you are, see how you can improve some of those areas. Once you're given a task or once you know you have a deadline, do it on the first day so that you have more time later on to revise it and see if it's even much better. We have to start being what we are telling our own children. Because even though we've had all the education, we still end up procrastinating as adults. So adults don't always have the right answers. And if you find yourself being a little disorganized, and if you find yourself being a little irritated and frustrated, and you think that you're getting off track or you're not doing it as best as you could, just continue. Know that if you finish one task every day, write a to-do list, check those boxes once you're done with them. There is nothing as successful as writing things down. When you write them down and you look at them, no matter it being if it's on your vision board, if it's on a piece of paper, if it's on the back of your Rolodex, once you write that down and you're able to view it, somehow the universe aligns with you and those tasks, and your body and your mindset and your activities start working towards accomplishing each and every one of those tasks. So check off your boxes as you go. So I would end with a couple of quotes for you, and which are, when the challenges of life come your way, you got to find ways to increase your sense of appreciation, self appreciation. Because if you don't, you are bombarded with negative stuff every day that will beat you down. This is a famous quote by Les Brown. So think about it. Whether you like it or not, you are going to get challenges. And the only way you're not going to be able to overcome those challenges is by getting out of your comfort zone and doing things a little differently than you did them the day before. And also, just to reassure you, you will also have people in life who tell you they love you. You'll also think you love certain people, and you also think you love certain things and other things that you appreciate in life. But over time, as you switch up and as you do things, only experience will reveal to you which of those things are important things in your lives and what you need to focus on. So it was my pleasure today to talk to you about me getting out of my comfort zone. It is one of those things that we all have to do at every stage of our lives. It might be monthly for some people, might be weekly for some people, but try and make sure you do this however often you can. So you reset yourself, you get out of your comfort zone, you let go your own ego, which may be in your way sometimes, and do what you need to do. Until then, this was Judith with the Silver Lining with Judith, talking to you about how to get out of your comfort zone and be the best you that you can ever be. I appreciate your time and thank you. Until next Sunday when we bring you a great, great guest that would inspire you for all the works that they do. Thank you. Have a fabulous Sunday.